All right, it is time for a TV musings in a goal-ish way. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. In this video, I'm going to share a little bit about the TV that I've watched this year so far, and what I'm going to try and do specifically to meet one of my goals. That is for something that happens repeatedly, and I get sort of halfway, and then I get a bit stalled. So this isn't going to be so much about the specific shows that I'm watching, although I will share some of the ones that I've started this year so far, but it's more about trying to tackle one issue that I'm having with one show and sharing the strategy that I'm going to try to see if I can get over this stalledness in this particular show. So it's only the beginning of the year, and it's actually earlier than I would normally be to come back for videos, so I apologize, this is a bit all over the place. I'm still trying to figure out, one, just what kind of videos I want to do on this channel, because I'm not reading as much as I used to, and having Friday reads was such a great, sort of consistent, wonderful video to do all the time, but I'm not reading enough to do that, so I'm trying to come up with strategies of other things that I can share consistently, and I think this kind of thing might work, because I'm going to share a strategy, and then I can come back and say how successful or not successful, and what I learned from it, and that kind of thing. So that's one part of it. I've already lost where I was going with that, so I am sorry. Wow, yeah, this video is just going to be a little all over, but I'd rather be here and be all over than not at all. So last week I recorded videos and I didn't even post them. So, and I don't like to do that. I would rather, I just do the best that I can, I hope. Every week is a bit different. Anyway, what am I talking about? So the thing is, we're a couple weeks into the year. I've already watched at least one episode of 11 different series. 5 of those are new seasons that are started. One is a show that premiered in January. One is a carryover from last fall. And then I carried over 2 streaming shows that I was watching. I have one new streaming show that I started, and I started a new rewatch to multitask to. So the new shows that I started, since sometimes that's just fun to know, I did start North of North. This is a Canadian show. It's on CBC. Apparently it is coming to Netflix in the spring, which is awesome. This is set in the Canadian North and follows a young woman, who's, I think she's 26, and she's sort of trying to find herself. So it's kind of a coming of age, but like a second coming of age. I am loving the show. It is so much fun. I love the characters. I love the setting. It's got a nice sense of humor to it, and it's just really wonderful. And sometimes it gets me. It's pretty touching. So it's a great show. So I'm really excited about that. That's the one premiere that I have seen. And then in terms of, I don't remember how I did this. Okay, yeah, stuff that's back for a new season. Miss Scarlet is in its 5th season, and it's on PBS. I'm enjoying that. Then we also have All Creatures Great and Small, also on PBS. I did have quite a moment because for some reason I had a bit of a switcheroo in moving things around, and I wasn't able to get PBS. So at 5 minutes before the premiere, I think, of Miss Scarlet, I noticed that it wasn't coming through. So I had to dig out my, because I have antenna, but it's through the wall, and so I had to dig out my portable over-the-air antenna and set it up in 5 minutes. So I missed the first, whatever the intro was for the first case of Miss Scarlet, because I was trying to figure it out and all this kind of stuff. And so I finally did manage to get the signal with my portable over-the-air antenna. Anyway, so it started, and All Creatures Great and Small started. Those are both on PBS. I am also watching the current season of Jeopardy, which is, I think, a celebration of champions, Tournament of Champions, and there was the wild cards, and I actually have watched enough Jeopardy now that I recognized people when they came back for the wild card and stuff like that. So that's been fun. There's also Celebrity Jeopardy on Wednesdays. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on one episode and he missed a question that was about a moon, which was hilarious, but and definitely, you can tell, humbling, but it's been good, and I really like Celebrity Jeopardy too. So that's been really fun. And then the returning show that I'm watching is Rescue High Surf. This one is set in Hawaii, and this one actually is on a streaming service service here in Canada, so I watch it on streaming. So I'm one episode behind on this one, but I am really enjoying it. It's a drama. It's centered on lifeguards in Hawaii, and I really like it. So it's got that drama. It's got some, relationship stuff, and community stuff, and some like political stuff. And so it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. I had to catch up. I had missed a couple of episodes at the end of the fall, but I did catch up before it became the new year. So I am looking forward to that. So those are what I'm currently watching. So I actually have a fair amount on like live or streaming-ish, because The Rescue High Surf I watch streaming. The North by North, if you're Canadian, you can watch it on CBC Gem. And then the Miss Scarlet and the Duke and All Creatures Great and Small, I'm watching live over antenna. That was quite an adventure. Anyway, so those are the shows that I'm watching, and those are all, I'm really enjoying all of them. It's a kind of a nice mix of, it's actually a fair amount, mostly drama, and then Jeopardy, and then North by North, North of North. I think it's technically a comedy. Dramedy? I don't know. So they're all really good. And then, as I said, I have 2 shows that are streaming that I carried over from last year. One new show that I picked up on streaming, one rewatch for data entry, and one of the carryovers on streaming is this show that I'm having a bit of a challenge with. And this is a show that fits in a situation that I come to time and time again. This is a show where I watched it when it was live. Then somewhere along the way, I didn't keep up with it. In this particular instance, it was that it changed services, but I actually had access to the new service. Often what happens is it changes channels, the show changes channels or changes services, and especially here in Canada, we don't always get exactly the same things, and sometimes streaming services or our channels pick it up, and sometimes they don't. Although I can get most American television through my antenna, that's like the big 5, but not specialty and not stuff like on like Hulu or whatever that's streaming. So it's just like, we are very, when I look back and see what I've started and what I haven't finished in sort of like the larger scale of things, like we've had a lot of difference in what is available and how it's available. So for me, I have many shows that are in this situation. Like I watched 3 out of 6 seasons, or 4 out of 6 seasons, or 6 out of 8 seasons, or whatever, or maybe 2 out of 5 seasons. And now I have, now they are available on a streaming service, but I find that they're in this weird position where I have absolutely no problem rewatching what I've already seen. That is no problem at all, generally because I multitask to it while I'm gaming or while I'm doing data entry. But then I get to the point where they're new episodes, and then I get a little stalled. I get a little like, I'm not sure where this fits in. I don't want to multitask to it anymore. And I feel like it needs to like graduate to what I call like focus television or like appointment television. But for some reason, I don't usually do that. And in this particular show that I'm working on right now, I did watch one season with sort of focused energy. And I think I multitask to it sometimes, but it didn't quite fit. And I did watch one episode earlier this year, and I watched it full attention. It was a season premiere, so it was a new season. I even had snacks. I was all excited. I do like to have snacks for especially premieres and finales. But I was really excited about it, and I watched it, and it was interesting, but I didn't feel like it needed all of my attention. And so I didn't come back to it. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to switch back to watching this show while I'm multitasking. I'm not saying I'm going to do this for every show in this particular situation. I can just see that I'm not like reaching for it, right? Like I'm not putting it on the schedule. I don't need to actually schedule TV, but well, some live TV is scheduled, but like I don't have a place for it to fit because it doesn't need 100% attention, but like most multitasking was not a good fit. But what I've done is I made a list of things that I can do in game when I play World of Warcraft that are very, very familiar to me. They are not challenging at all. They're sort of like one more try in a particular dungeon to get a mount that I've done again and again, or gathering a material in a dungeon where I have a chance to get a mount and I haven't gotten it, or if a character's working on reputation and they need to do daily quests so they pick up like 3 to 8 daily quests and go to the same different places and do the same thing. And I've done it a million times before. So and some gathering and some archaeology. I don't think archaeology, I'm familiar enough with it for that to work, but I'm going to try. So I have this whole list of things that I can do in game that are very much like I am not really paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'm very much paying attention more to the TV. It's probably like a 60-40, 70-30 split, where I'm watching and engaged in the show and then doing the thing. And I also thought this would be good because it would give me progress in the game for chances at mount drops, gathering materials, and gaining reputation or getting levels or whatever. Though daily fishing and cooking quests, I've done those a million times. Like stuff that I just really know and is really easy, and I get a benefit from doing it in the game, or a chance at a potential benefit. And I'm making progress on the show. And sometimes I think it's called habit pairing, or habit stacking. No, stacking is when you do a bunch of things in a row. But like sometimes when you pair stuff together, it's like a win-win. So I get to watch the show, I get to do these sort of more rote things or menial things, and I get 2 wins at the same time. So I don't know how well this is going to go. I did try it last night for the first time, and I did finish watching the show, so I got 1 more in. I think I had 26 left, so now I have only 25, left, and if I can get 5 a week, that means I'll be done in like a month and a week, that's, so the March, and that would mean in March, if this works, I can pick up something else to watch at that time. So we'll see how things go. And this is something that I used to do all of the time. Like I've had so many things in game that were these kinds of tasks, but I have actually now sort of done most of the ones that I need to do, and I'm now on to the ones that are like, need to. I had done the ones that were part of like bigger goals, and now I'm sort of just like trying that again or doing that with a different character. It doesn't have as much of a long-term benefit, but in that sense, I actually really just know how to do the thing. So anyway, so what I'm hoping to achieve here is to watch the show and finish the show and enjoy the show, as well as get some progress in game. So that's the idea. So the big thing was just sort of like noticing that it wasn't working, just watching it 100%. And that makes me a little sad to say, because it's a show that I do enjoy, but I was like, it didn't need my full attention. And I'm intentionally not saying what it is, because I usually share shows once I finish them, or if they're live, because I really hate spoilers. So the thing is, I'm going to try, I noticed that there was an issue, that I wasn't getting back to the show. I picked something I think might work. This might not work, but I'm going to pick something that might work. It's actually not that hard to do. I just this is something that I like to do even after dinner. I'll watch a show. Oh, I have my dinner shows. Yeah, I have the different types of shows I watch. I have my dinner shows, I have my full attention shows, and I have my rewatch or multitask shows. But I don't have this space where it's like, it needs a fair amount of attention, but not all of my attention. And that is also in part because I've rewatched the first couple seasons a few times. I know the characters really well. I know the characters I'm really, really a big fan of. And so I know to pay attention when they're on. And then there's some characters that I'm less of a fan of. So, but the thing is, especially with shows, it's an urban fantasy show. So one of the things is I do want to see any of the effects or locations or things that look really cool. And I will admit, I did kind of miss them, and I had to rewind a few times when I watched yesterday to get that moment. So that wasn't great, but I still finished an episode. And also, it did resolve something in this one episode that I thought they were going to stretch out for the whole season. So maybe I'll end up being actually, maybe I do want a full attention watch this. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm trying it. And this is something that I feel like is sometimes a nice thing to do. Instead of doing a 180 or a cold turkey, or I'm going to change everything I'm going to do. It's no, most of the things I'm doing are going to stay the same. There's just this one show that I would like to make progress on. I haven't made progress. I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if it works. And there were certain things that I did in game that worked, and there were other things that didn't work as much. I definitely can't be doing things where I have to make any decisions or pay attention to the screen, so I can't be near any mobs that are of similar level. No way. I'm doing stuff that's way easy content. And I also have a back pocket on the back of my list of things that are even easier, which is basically fishing. Fishing, I can I can watch almost anything while doing fishing. The only thing I can't watch while fishing is watching something that is has subtitles, because that's too far. If it's subtitled, I want to watch it, and I definitely want to get a subtitled show in the mix, but I think I'm just going to try one change at a time. And for this week, my change is just to multitask while I watch the show, see what works, see what doesn't. Did I feel like I got enough from the viewing experience? Or, you know, like, I think I had to rewind like 3 times. Like, is that too much? Should I be trying easier stuff? Like, I don't know what would be easier. And I couldn't do anything that had any kind of timing element to it. So there are a couple of dungeons where certain things happen at certain times, or there's like cutscenes or whatever. And I'm like, no, none of that. Just easy running around, like, you know, drop chances for mounts. I didn't get any mounts. One day. I have lots of mounts, but like, you know, there's two or three that I have tried a lot, so they're just a really low drop chance. Anyway, so, you know, I did watch the show. I did feel like I missed out on a few things, so I had to rewind. But I also noticed, one of the key things I noticed is that when there is no talking on the show and there is like dramatic music, then I need to watch, because something's happening. What you're seeing is potentially, you know, foreshadowing, or there was a beautiful montage of like stuff going on that actually felt more like a season premiere, and I had missed it. So I'm glad that I rewound and rewatched it. And so it's, for me, it's not the ideal situation, but I wasn't enjoying watching it just like full on. So I hope this is gonna work. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try matching this up, like these two things together, see if it works, and see if I can make progress. I mean, I've already watched one episode, so that's good. I do have the time of day I normally do this. I usually have dinner. I've jumped a step somewhere elsewhere. I usually have dinner and watch like a short show, like a comedy. I'm not a huge fan of comedies, but I like to watch short shows while I have dinner. Then I like clean up, tidy up, make a tea, and then watch one episode while I'm doing these sort of more rote things in the game, and that seems to be like a nice thing. One challenge though I am having is it's longer than I expected. It went from cable TV to streaming, so instead of being into the 44-minute bracket, it's now in sort of a more open space and tends to be more like an hour. I do have a challenge watching shows that are an hour long. It just feels so long to me, but that is a challenge for another day. In terms of what's on the horizon, so this is what I'm going to work on this week, just watching the show while I'm multitasking, seeing how it goes. Am I enjoying it? Am I getting things done? Is it a good fit? You know, and is this a good sort of attention span thing, or not? And then also sort of in the further future, I'm going to be, or like what I have my eye on for upcoming is that I did finish my, I am on the lookout for a new performing arts show. I did finish last year. I did finally finish Glee. So I love watching shows that are about the performing arts. I would say my 3 sort of favorite genres are urban fantasy, shows about the performing arts, and historical action. Those tend to be the shows that really, really resonate with me. And I have a fair amount, especially urban fantasy. I have so many urban fantasy shows that I never made it all the way through. So this is another reason why I'm trying to figure out this problem. And as I said, I don't think this solution will work for everything. I think usually I multitask while I rewatch stuff, and then I shift to focused attention watching, but it didn't work this time. It didn't work, and then I just wasn't as interested, and I'm like, no, like I really want to finish it. Like, I really want to finish it, and also so that I can watch other stuff, because there's so many shows. I mean, when I put have my eye on section on my spreadsheet, it was 30 shows. 30! That doesn't even include some of the ones that I started last year that I haven't like watched an episode yet. Like, so I wouldn't do a currently, like, you know how I have my currently reading that I did, like all the books I'm in the middle of, I wouldn't do that for TV. I literally don't want to know, and I'm glad that I don't really have that captured anywhere. I mean, technically I could write it out, but I think it would be too not encouraging. And I think just every year I'm just like, okay, I just create a new spot on my spreadsheet what have I watched at least one episode this year? And that's what I've done for the past couple years, and it's really worked for me. It's worked better than just having a mega list of anything I have ever watched any episode of. That's too much. It's like, where's my attention now? What am I enjoying now? And so for now, I want to finish this show, and then I also, like, the next thing I'm doing is I want to keep my eye out for a performing arts show, because that's important to me, and I want to keep that in the mix. So I don't know what I'm going to pick yet. The last one I finished was Glee. I did also a couple years ago watch Staged, with Michael. His last name is 5 letters. Sheen, and one of the doctors from Doctor Who. David Tennant. It was a great show. I watched it on Canopy, and it was COVID set, and it was mostly through like Zoomish looking things and like video calls, and but it was about the performing arts. I just love shows about the performing arts. So if you have any recommendations for performing arts shows, because that is going to be sort of my next idea, is to get into the mix, is to add a performing arts show to watch. I don't have as long a list of that. I have quite a long list of urban fantasy and a fair list of historical action, and sometimes I only like to watch one per these genres at a time, which means it's important to me to stay consistent with watching it. So that's my plan, and this, as I said, this is just sort of like a slow, just like a mini adjustment, a little adjustment to one thing to sort of get me to my goal of finishing this show, so I can get more urban fantasy generally on the roster, have some more strategies for how to tackle shows that are rewatches, combination rewatches and new watches for shows that I only got so far in, but are completely, the whole series is now accessible. And then on the horizon, I would like to start a performing arts show. So that's my strategy. Hopefully I'll check in next week and share how things went. Let me know. I know some people will be like, wow, that's a lot of thought put into like what you're watching. And I mean, like, for me, it's also important to watch the things that are important to me. And I feel like if I don't make any effort, then I'll just watch anything, which is also can be fine. But I'm like, I want to be a bit more intentional and watch the genres and the focuses that are important to me. And so I think I've done pretty well this year. I am really happy with a lot of the shows. The Jeopardy shows I love because I find it's like intellectual engagement and knowledge, but also fun. And then I really like watching Canadian television, so I'm happy to have like North of North on the list. And then some are just like the next season of things that I've watched over time. So that's a bit more habit, like with Miss Scarlet and All Creatures Great and Small. But I do like them. They are cozy, and the production design in Miss Scarlet is just great, and I love watching shows with female leads. So that one hits a fair amount of marks, and it's a beautiful show. Miss Scarlet is, and I feel like they do a great design. All Creatures Great and Small too. Like it's not my favorite time period, but it's got a lot of cozy in it, and there's a lot of animals, and this season's at a tougher historical time period, so there are some heavier themes, which is not what drew me to the show, but I feel like I've been with the characters long enough. I want to see where they go. So anyway, there's some TV thoughts for you. Let me know, do you have any strategies that work for you for TV? Do you think about this kind of thing at all? And also, like, this idea of just like making one small adjustment for something is not TV specific. Like you can do this with your time, like what you're spending your time on, just like shift one thing. Where's the sticky point? And then try something to see if you can unstick it, and then reflect back, adjust again. I mean, that's goal planning. Like, and in a nutshell, it doesn't have to be hard and fast deadlines all the way through. It can be, what's working and what's not, and let's continue to work towards the goal. And so that's my goal, is to finish the show, to enjoy it, but and just to keep it consistent on the roster, and hopefully sort out this whole sticky point with rewatches and new watches. And maybe it's simply that it's not a hard and fast same rule for each particular show. Maybe it is that I have to treat each show individually when I bridge that gap from what I've been rewatching to what is new to me. So anyway, so that is what I have been watching, sort of, and my strategies for what I hope to watch in the future. I have, I think, 25 episodes less of this particular show, and I think I'll try and come back next week and share my results and maybe have an idea of what performing arts show to watch. So love to hear any suggestions on performing arts shows. It is without, whether it's like singing, dancing, acting, music, what are other performing arts? Poetry, like live poetry, fashion, like any art, to be honest. I usually say performing arts, but I really mean any art. I have a couple, but not a huge list, so I would love to hear any suggestions. And yeah, I think I will leave things there. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being with me, especially since I'm in this sort of, I'm still not like super, I really prefer to be super articulate, but I think this one was a bit more of a casual vibe. And sometimes, some days, some weeks, some moments are like that, and that's what today was. And I'd rather be here today in that you know, sort of messy space. That's what I can bring today, so that's what I did bring today. So thank you so much for being here and being patient with me, and I will be back with a new video probably next week. All right, thank you so much for watching.